Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel if you're returning. Welcome for the first time if this is your first time here, obviously. We made it through the Game Awards last year. We've discussed the Game Awards. We've discussed some of the trailers of the Game Awards. And now it's time for the real Game Awards. My Game Awards. My top 10 games of 2024. Obviously, I'm not a professional reviewer. Not yet. So I don't get game codes all the time. So I don't get to play all the games. I have to spend my own money or use Game Pass or other fun means of playing video games. So if I leave a game off this list that you really enjoyed, I probably didn't get a chance to play it. But I feel this is a very good top 10 list for the year. And it's my personal top 10 list. Obviously, yours will differ. Feel free to comment in the comments below to let me know what your favorite games of the year were. As you can see, I'm still in Indiana Jones mode. If you've been watching the streams, I've got the Infernal Machine just playing in the background on the N64, just showing off demos and stuff like that for some good ambiance in the background. But without further ado, let's get onto the list because that's what you're here for. Coming in at number 10 for the Nintendo Switch, The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. This is a fun change of pace Zelda game. It goes back to the top-down style, uses that oh man, what is the Zelda game where you're on the island? Holy shit, I'm blanking. But it uses that art style from the Switch remake of the Game Boy port, or the Game Boy Color game. Zelda DX is what it was called. It was something else. Damn it, I'm mad at myself. But it uses that same shoebox style diorama, top-down 3D art style, which is really cutesy, and I like it for this kind of experimental Zelda game because it's a pick up and play. You don't really have to memorize too much to play through the game, and it's just a really fun game. And it's actually fun to play a Zelda game where you play as Zelda, so when someone sees you playing Zelda, like, is that Zelda? You're like, yes, it's Zelda. They don't call Link Zelda. So it's a fun game. It's a fun mechanic. It's not about combat like the Legend of Zelda games when you're playing as Link usually is. Usually you're a magic wand, you're creating things to solve puzzles. And one of the cool things is the way I solve a puzzle might not be the same way you solve a puzzle. It's really, really creative, much like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom have been with some of their mechanics. It makes it so that it's not the same way to do everything. Like, you don't have to do it A, B, C, D. You can use C, B, Z, T, X to solve your puzzle. And so that just makes it more fun because then it's less tedious, it's more creative, it's more fun. Because then you can also go back and kind of like figure out ways to do it on your own. Like, oh, I did it this way this one time. Let's see if I mess around and do it this way if it will work. So that game's a blast to play. I highly recommend it, especially if you're a Zelda fan or kind of like an adventure, RPG, puzzle solving kind of fan. Definitely a fun game to do. Next up, coming in at number 9, we have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. This game I was super excited for. I love the first 9 Final Fantasy games for the Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, and the PlayStation. 10 is where I kind of fell off. 10 just disappointed me, and I never really got back in until 16. So when they were remaking 7, even though 7 is maybe like my 5th favorite Final Fantasy game, I was kind of excited to play it again because I hadn't played it for so long, and to have the new updated battle system, graphics, changing of the story a little bit, I was really excited, and I blew through 7 Remake when that came out, and I think it was 2020. I think it was during COVID when that came out, and I kind of blew through it. Didn't have much else to do, and I just kind of played through that game. Rebirth, on the other hand, I know it was a Game of the Year nominee, and I picked it to win a couple of awards that it didn't win, but as far as the games I played this year, it hooked me at first, but then when some other games started trickling out, I didn't feel the need to just finish it before I started the other games. I went to play the other games. I can't really explain why it didn't hook me the same way Remake did, but it's still a good game. Obviously, it's on my top 10 list. It's still a good game, and I know I'm being very negative about it, but it just didn't hook me, which is why it's so low on the list, where I think probably a lot of people who played it would have it much higher on their list, but it did not get its claws in me and just keep me into it. I'm about halfway, 3/4 of the way through the game. And I do plan on finishing it, probably not before the end of the year, but it is a game I'm going to go back to and I'm going to finish it because I do like it. It's a very good game, but there's just, I don't know, just did not hook me the way the first one did. So hopefully when the third one comes out, which I'll probably be playing on PC unless it does come out for the PlayStation 5 because I don't think I'll be buying another Xbox or PlayStation after this generation is done. I'll probably play it on PC a couple months later and enjoy it. Though I am tempted when it comes out on PC in a couple months, or not in a couple months, next month. I'm kind of tempted to just restart and play it on PC, but I don't think I'm going to do that because I've already invested too much time in that game. So going back that's daunting to me. So number 9, Final Fantasy VII. Number 8, the game I felt was snubbed from the Game Awards for Best Sports Game, not Game of the Year, but Best Sports Game, and that is EA's NCAA Football 2024. I don't understand how this game wasn't nominated for Best Sports Game, considering just the anticipation for this game. I can't remember the last time I saw such enthusiasm for a sports game coming out. Like, not since, like, Madden Into the Next Generation, like the 360 PS3 Maddens, do I remember such hype for a sports game, just mostly because of that 360 trailer that they dropped that was totally bogus as far as the graphics were concerned that EA did. But that was some major hype for a sports game, and I really hadn't seen it since until this game came out. So many people, like, once it started, like, not leaking, but trickling in that it was happening, everyone was just getting so excited. And I was like, and I told my 16-year-old son, I was like, don't get too excited. I don't think this is going to happen. Like, it really didn't seem like it would be coming back with all the NIL stuff and everything, but it did come back. And luckily it came back, and it was really, really good. It wasn't like I remember, but we're talking about a decade has passed, and I was a decade younger. And when I really played the NCAA games was when I was in college. So that was like 15 years ago, 20 years ago. That's when it was really, really fun to me. So it didn't have that same feel, but I don't think that's the game's fault. I just think that's me getting older kind of thing. But it was a fun football game. Definitely has a couple things in it that, and I've said this about NCAA in the past, that Madden could learn from. So that is why it is coming in at my number 8 spot. Now, number 7, you saw the reaction video when it got announced during the Nintendo Direct, but the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection was so hyped to get this game. And honestly, this kind of says how, like, really good the bottom half of this countdown is as far as game goes, considering this at number 7. Because Marvel vs. Capcom and Marvel vs. Capcom 2, two of my all-time favorite games. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 might be my favorite fighting game of all time. It's one of those things like Street Fighter Alpha, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, those are up there. Mortal Kombat 2, I know the newer Mortal Kombat games are better, but I loved playing Mortal Kombat 2 as a kid at the arcade and at home, things like that. But just the amount of fun I had with Marvel vs. Capcom with my friends when we were teenagers playing that game on the Dreamcast, it was a blast. My only really disappointment with this collection is it's the arcade version of Marvel vs. Capcom 2, so everything's already unlocked. I really wish they would have ported the Dreamcast version just because of the way you earn the characters. You get points and you buy the characters. You can buy alternate colors and things like that. Excuse me. Was just a fun way to do it, and it kept you coming back because it's one of those things. If there's no unlockables for a fighting game and you beat it a couple times, there's no real reason to come back unless you're playing with friends. And given that I'm 41 years old, I'm not going online to play people in fighters. I don't want to get my ass kicked that bad. And you don't hang out with your friends nearly as much, so you don't get that fun back and forth playing a fighter. So it would have ranked higher on this list had it been the Dreamcast port and you had to earn everything instead of just everything being unlocked in a sense. But fun game. If you love fighting games, if you love Marvel, if you love Capcom, it's the perfect meld. It's like a Reese's cup, peanut butter and chocolate together. I definitely recommend checking it out. It's a blast to play. You'll have a lot of fun, especially if you've never played it before. If you've never played this game before and you like fighting games, it's a definite pickup. It will, I don't want to say it will change your world, but it might. I mean, it's just that good. All right, coming in at number 6, kind of a fighting game. This one did get nominated for Best Sports Game in at the Game Awards, but WWE 2K24. I've picked up a couple of the 2K series here and there. I've really played them more back in the 360 days, and I got 22. And then I ended up getting 23 pretty inexpensively in like a Black Friday sale last year. But I didn't play 23 that much. I played 22 quite a bit. 23 I didn't play that much. But 24 I've been hooked in. I really dug the WrestleMania Showcase mode, because where you did the Showcase mode with Ray and then you did Cena the next year, just focusing on one wrestler, it gets kind of boring and old. But with the new WrestleMania Showcase mode, where you're going through the 40 years of WrestleMania, you're playing as Hogan, you're playing as Piper, Cody, Roman, all the different, superstars from past and present. It's so much more fun and so much more engaging and less boring. Because like, oh, I played as Hogan here. Oh, look, I'm Bret Hart now. Oh, look, I'm Shawn Michaels. I'm John Cena. I'm Roman Reigns. It makes it more exciting for a story mode. The outside of the story mode, I really dig the universe mode, where you book your own shows, you can create your own shows. Because what I've always kind of done with those universe modes, I've got the Raw and SmackDown, and then I create my own nostalgic brand where it's nothing but superstars from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. So if it's like a Bret Hart or Shawn Michaels, they're like their 80s or 90s version, not like their 2000 versions, stuff like that. And in this fantasy world of mine, I have Hulk Hogan from the 80s WWE, and then Hollywood Hulk Hogan from the NWO. Same with, I've got Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, but also Diesel and Razor Ramon, kind of thing like that. It's just kind of fun to book those shows and just see how they do. Sometimes I play the matches, other times I'll just say this is the winner, this is the loser, progress stories that way, and it's just a lot of fun. It's a really good time killer where you want to play a game, but you don't want to, you've only got 30 minutes, so you can book a couple shows, play a couple matches, or just progress the story. So it's a lot of fun. The character creation on it is super deep, too deep for me anymore. I know teenage Josh would probably stay up till all the hours in the morning creating characters, but middle-aged Josh just does not have the patience for that. But you can download other people's creations, and there's some great ones on there. I was able to add Sting to my roster because he's not in the WWE anymore, he's in AEW. So having Sting for my throwback organization, to have Surfer Sting and also Sting, Crow Sting to battle with the NWO is a great fun to have. So if you're a wrestling fan, definitely a must buy. To me, this is the best 2K game probably since the 360 era, the 360 PlayStation 3 era. Those were the ones I really enjoyed as far as the 2K games are concerned. Now we move on to number 5. We're into the top 5. This game is a game, this is the first time I've ever played a game from this series. I started with this game. I started getting into the lore. I made a quick video about it, and you Warhammer fans just bombarded me with comments of how great it is in the lore, and giving me places to start with the lore, and giving me links to YouTube channels to check out so I can, kind of get backstory goes. And that is Warhammer 40k Space Marines 2, or Space Marines 2 Warhammer 40k. Can't remember which one comes first in that title. I think it's the Warhammer part. So far the community has been awesome. You guys have really shared a lot of stuff with me, and I am nowhere near in deep in the lore, but I'm starting to get some of the stuff, and I'm really digging it. A good buddy of mine is a huge fan of this series. Him and I have been having a blast playing Warhammer 40k Space Marines 2. In fact, we've been having so much fun. I don't stream it. This is one of those things where it's just me and him playing. And we're just having a blast, and just two guys just having a great time on a Friday, Saturday night playing Warhammer 40k just for us. I mean, that's how much fun we're having. It's just a blast. I might stream a couple just to show you how much fun we're having, but it's just two old friends catching up because I moved away, so we haven't hung out in person in a few years. So it's great catching up with a good buddy of mine and killing a bunch of aliens with power swords and plasma pistols and things like that. So Warhammer, I'm just going to say Space Marines 2. Space Marines 2 is a blast. If you're a fan of the Warhammer series, you're probably already playing it. You've probably already 100% it, so I'm not selling it to you. But if you're a fan of like Gears of War or old school third-person shooters, things like that, like from the 90s and early 2000s of that era where it's just the power fantasy of a big dude with a big gun killing aliens, this is the game for you. Like if you were disappointed in Gears of War 5 and Gears of War 4, well, Space Marines 2 right here for you, picking up where Gears 3 left off. So can't recommend this game enough. I've been having a lot of fun playing it, and there's been so many oh my god moments with just brutal kills and things like that, and bosses and cutscenes that I haven't really had that kind of exuberance since I was a teenager. So it's a lot of fun. Just go try it out, play it. I think it's on sale right now for $50. Might be a little too much to dip your toe in, But if 50 bucks ain't that bad for you, I would say definitely check it out. It's a lot of fun, and definitely worth the money. Easily worth the money. Next up, if you've been following the channel, I've missed the last 2 weeks, and I'm really sorry with this for the Saturday morning speedruns. With the Christmas holiday coming up, it's been really hectic around here, and like trying to find out time to stream, long streams with the video games, making videos here, being a dad, having a full-time job, things like that. I haven't fit in a lot of my Nintendo World Championships for the Saturday morning speedrun, but this game is easily my number 4 pick for my top 10. It is so much fun to play, especially if you're an older gamer like me and you grew up with Excite Bike, the Mario games, Zelda games, Kirby, things like that. If you grew up with those games, this is just a fun way to dip back into them, because then you don't have to bust out the old Nintendo system. You don't have to play a full game. You just dip your little toe, especially if you're just doing the weekly challenges like I am right now. You just dip your toe in, do 5 weekly challenges, get a really good nostalgic hit burst, having some fun, climbing the ranking boards. Like if you follow that show on the channel, I got number 1 in one of the Mario things, number 1 in the world, not just my age group, but number 1 in the world, which was super exciting because I was hoping at some point to get a gold medal, maybe make it into the top 50, something like that. Never in my wildest dreams did I think, especially within the first year of the game. I joked when I started the show, Saturday Morning Speedruns, that I was just going to do this every week, and then when everyone quit playing, that's when I'd finally get number 1 in the world. But no, it didn't take that. It only took a couple months and one challenge where I got number 1 in the world, which was just super exciting. Bowie was sitting next to me. We were both just enamored with getting number 1. I've got the short on the channel if you just want to check out my reaction. But yeah, it's a fun game. My 16-year-old son, he's played Nintendo and stuff like that before, but he has a lot of fun playing with me every once in a while. Like he definitely tries to beat my score. And I think I had mentioned this in one of my previous podcasts, but I took my Switch when we did a big family trip with my wife's family to the beach this year, rented a beach house, and me and her brothers were one night, and her mother as well, were on the floor, got the Switch hooked up to the TV, and we're all just taking turns playing the different games. And her brothers are only in their 20s, so they didn't grow up with this. Her mom did. And so we were all just having fun playing, Nintendo World Championships, but like Mario, Excite Bike, trying to beat each other's times, like, because we weren't doing it like side by side 2-player. We were literally, someone would do a run, and then when you got like 5 runs to get your best time, then you pass the controller, and so on and so on. It's just so much fun, and that's a game I definitely say pick up. It's been on sale, like the complete edition, to where you get you get the gold cartridge and the pins and everything like that. That's like $50, I think, if you just want the game. That's under 30. I highly recommend, and where are my controllers? If you can, get the Japanese version, same price as the American version, but it comes with 2 Famicom controllers. And to me, this is the way to play. I've noticed while playing that game that if I'm using and the only difference between a Famicom controller and a Nintendo controller really is the color for the most part. Playing with the actual Nintendo controller, the buttons, everything like that, I feel I do better because it's the way I grew up playing that game, so it just feels more natural. So number 4, Nintendo World Championship NES Edition, definitely pick it up. Coming in at number 3, this was my birthday game this year. I always love it when a game comes out on my birthday, especially if it's a game I like. I got spoiled 2 years in a row. 2 years ago, Dead Space Remake and GoldenEye dropped on my birthday, so played both of those. And then this year, I think it was the day before my birthday, really, but that still counts for a birthday game. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth came out. I love the Yakuza Like a Dragon series. Like a Dragon, or Yakuza Like a Dragon, the previous release with Ichi. I love that game. Just the weirdness of the JRPG into a Yakuza game just makes it so much more fun and enjoyable, story-wise, visually-wise, things like that. And Infinite Wealth, it was a great way to close out Kiryu's story, or at least for the time being. No spoilers here, in case you haven't played it, because I definitely recommend playing this. So it was a nice way, because it seems like since the last game, Ichi's been taking over as the lead character from Kiryu. So this was a nice way to bring Kiryu back, and then maybe wish him goodbye, maybe not. I'm not quite sure. Very ambiguous ending there. But A great game all around, just so much fun. The Yakuza games are just full of story, full of life, and things like that. So if you like JRPGs, if you like beat 'em ups, if you like fun stories that take you to realistic locations but are kind of crazy, this game's for you. What I really loved about when I played Like a Dragon, or Yakuza Like a Dragon, back in 2020, I was really missing Japan. Hadn't been in 2 years. My trip then got canceled because of COVID and everything like that, everything shutting down. So I was really missing Japan, and playing the game and going through locations and streets that I'd been to many times in Japan was really cool. So if you've never been to Japan, it's kind of a cool way to just see some of the sites in a kind of a condensed way. It's not like one-to-one scale, but you get the idea. And if you've been to those locations, a lot of it will seem very familiar. Like, oh, I've been to this spot and things like that. So that was really cool to revisit. And then just kind of a weird, funny coincidence the way the universe works. In this one, you start in Yokohama, which is one of my favorite cities to go to in Japan, and then you go to Honolulu. And last Thanksgiving, I used my miles, and my family took a trip to Honolulu, and it was kind of cool going to some of my favorite areas in Yokohama, and then be in Honolulu and find my hotel that I stayed at in Honolulu. And hey, that's where Sean and I learned how to surf in Honolulu. It's a really cool game. Like, if you've been to the locations, just how realistic it is, it's really cool to see them in video game form. So if you're kind of missing them, so if you love Honolulu and Hawaii, kind of cool game to play, because then you're like, oh, I've been to this beach, I've been here, kind of thing like that. So it's just really fun. The story's great, the gameplay's fun. A lot of the side quests are really silly. Like, they've got in this whole like 70-hour game. No, I think it's like 40 hours to beat if you don't do side quests. Like 50 hour game to beat. There's a whole version of Pokemon in this game where you use like bums to fight each other. Yeah, you're listening now, aren't you? And then there's this whole Animal Crossing game in it as well, where you're like, you have your own island, and it's an island resort, and you're trying to get people to come to it. It's just wacky fun. Some of the best stuff Sega's published in years. So I can't say enough good things about Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Check it out for yourself. It's definitely fun. It's got to be on sale now. I think for all these games, I'll post links on Amazon so you can pick them up. Amazon associate links. So I do get like 10 cents if you buy it. So that'd be cool. But yeah, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth coming at number 3. So coming in at 2 and 1, I kind of went back and forth on. I went and 2 loses out to 1 for one reason only. So I'll get to number 2 right now and tell you why. So Alan Wake 2 Deluxe Edition. So you're like, Alan Wake came out in 2023, Josh, what are you doing? Yes, it did, but we didn't get a physical version until this year, and that physical version was the complete version with all the DLC, plus the DLC that came out this year. So if the Game Awards can have a DLC expansion pack be nominated for Game of the Year, I can say the physical version of a game, because I buy physical, I almost never buy digital. The physical version of the game is a release in the year 2024, and that's what I was waiting for to play it. I would have bought it last year because I love Alan Wake. I mean, got my complete edition of the first one right here. But I wanted a physical edition of it, and I was kind of waiting for that physical edition to come out to play it. Or if it would have gone to Game Pass before physical edition, I'd have played it on Game Pass and then bought the physical edition when it came out. So I'm counting that as a 2024 release. It's my list. I make the rules. Deal with it. But Alan Wake 2, fantastic game. Really good story. Sam Lake does a great job in it. We have 2 protagonists there. When I first saw the trailer and you saw Saga and you saw Alan, I was a little iffy about it. I was like, I don't know how that's going to work. But I was like, you know what? I love Remedy games so much. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to, when this game comes out, because it's been getting great reviews, and a lot of streamers and gamers who I trust their opinion, really like the game. So I was like, nah. You got the duel. You're not just playing as Alan, but I'll give it a try. And in the end, I ended up liking the Saga portions of the game more. And it's not that the Alan Wake portions are bad. It's just Saga's story is so weird, maybe. Because it's like you get Alan's story. Alan is trapped in the dark place from the first game, and you're trying to escape. That kind of makes sense. like you're like, okay. The weirdest thing about Alan's story is kind of like it's not a linear time path. Like it gets you questions like, okay, I was here, but now I'm here, but why am I here? Because I was there, and that's the future. This is the past. So that's the weirdness about Alan's story. But the weirdness about Saga's story is, even though you're in the real world for Saga's story, without trying to give away any spoilers, but like you keep finding manuscripts from Alan describing your life. So it's one of those. It's like that Will Ferrell movie, Stranger Than Fiction. It's like it gets you questioning reality. It's like, is this like obviously a video game, so it's not really happening. But as far as if you're in the character's mindset, it's like, is this really happening? Do I exist? Am I a real person? What is this going on? So you have all that question and many more questions with Saga's story that makes it so intriguing. Also, she has more guns and more ammo, and I found way more batteries with her, so combat was less tense because I was like, all right, I've got enough shit to kill things. With Alan, there was a lot of running because like I've only got a few bullets. I don't have that many batteries. I can't F around with all these little shadow creatures because I might not have any ammo when I really need it. So yeah, Saga's was a little bit more fun because you could shoot a lot more. And who doesn't like doing that in a video game? But yeah, like I was very surprised about how gripped I was with Saga's portion of the game. And they do great storytelling to connect the two stories. And it was a blast and it was a lot of fun. So glad I played it. I have not gotten the true ending yet because apparently you got to play Final Draft, the New Game Plus version, which I plan on streaming very soon on the channel. I only streamed the first like 90 minutes of Alan Wake 2 when I got the game. Because it was one of those games I didn't want to set up streaming to play. I just wanted to play. Like, if I only had 20 minutes to play, I just wanted to get in and play it. To where when I'm streaming a game, story-wise for everyone, I don't want, like, gaps in the story. I want, hey, we left off here, the next stream starts right there. And I couldn't do that with Alan Wake. And it was like, nope, if I've got 30 minutes to play, I'm playing it. You know, it's like, oh, I'm getting a little tired, it's time for bed, but I can squeeze out 15 minutes of Alan Wake or whatever. I can get to the next checkpoint, something like that. I wanted to do that, and I didn't want to just stream for like 15 minutes or anything like that. So I will be streaming Final Draft because now that I've played through the story, and I don't know if things change in Final Draft, I'm like avoiding any kind of spoilers. But now that I've played through the story, I'll stream it because then I'm not so eager to hop back in because it's like, I know what the next thing's going to be. It's not like, oh, what's going to happen next? I want to find out now. I know what happens next, so I can stream it and also be more conversational. I always feel bad when I'm streaming a game for the first, like I'm playing a game for the first time and I'm streaming it. I get so caught up in the story that I'm like staring at my TV and not even paying attention to the chat. I always feel bad doing that. So with the Final Draft, I'll be able to converse more with everybody and it'll be a lot more fun. So number one, it's not even nominated for anything in the Game of the Year awards because it came out too late. But this one took number one spot over Alan Wake because these ones were kind of tied because it actually released in 2024. And that is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I streamed the entire game on here. You can catch the short of me freaking out about snakes because much like Indy, I don't like snakes. I do not like them at all. Even like little small ones, I don't like them. So it was awesome. I love that game. So much fun. The reviews up on the channel as well. I tell you what I give the score of it, but I want you to watch the review and see the score for yourself and give me more engagement because I need it. But no, that game is just phenomenal. The combat, the hand-to-hand combat, and the aiming's a little clunky. It's not the best. I wish that would have been a little more refined, but the game's not about combat. The game is about exploring, about puzzle solving, about being an adventurer and an archaeologist. There's some fisticuffs. There's some shooting from time to time. And once you get the hang of the combat, it's not as clunky. But like I said, it would have been better if it was refined a little bit more. But I'm not going to complain about that because, like I said, that's such a small portion of the game. It's really about the puzzle solving and the adventuring and just kind of figuring out where to go and collecting things. And it was a blast. I loved it. It felt like an Indiana Jones movie from the 80s. Like, it felt like had they done Raiders and they not done Temple, which is technically a prequel, and they like made a sequel, this feels like an actual sequel to Raiders. And then The Last Crusade is the sequel to this. That's how this game feels. Troy Baker And I know several times I kept saying Nolan North in some of my other discussions about this game because those two, they do so many video game voices. They're almost like one and the same to me. I don't know why I confuse them all the time when they don't look the same, they don't sound the same. But because they do the voices in a lot of my favorite games, I tend to confuse like the name from time to time, not the person or anything like that. But no, Troy Baker does a fantastic job as Indiana Jones. If I didn't know any better, I would have thought they actually got Harrison Ford to voice the character. And then I know a lot of people were worried about it being woke. I remember with my video where I was commenting that those accusations of it being bad and woke were out of line. A lot of people were saying, I heard that you play as the female for half the game. You don't play as her at all. You play as Indy. That is it. You play as Indiana Jones the entire game. She doesn't show up until like 2-3 hours into the game. And she's very much like Marion or Elsa. Like you meet her along your adventure. She becomes your sidekick. She helps you out from time to time. But never does she get in the way. Never does she is overbearing to Indy. There is no, for lack of a better term, girl bossing in this game. It is an Indiana Jones adventure where Indiana Jones is front and center the entire time, and it felt great playing as Indiana Jones, and it felt like a great story, and I had so much fun playing it. Again, another game I cannot recommend enough. So there you have it, my top 10 games of 2024. I almost put this off for a week because I got this bad boy. I had not have time to play it yet, and I'm going to start streaming it. I'm going to say tomorrow, but as this video airs, it will be. I plan on streaming it today. I hope to, at the very least. I'm really excited to play this. I've never played any of the Dragon Quest games. The 2.5D when this got announced at the Nintendo Direct got me excited. Watching some streamers like Premier 2, Pete from Japan. If you haven't followed Pete on, well, here on YouTube or over on Twitch, he does some great video game streams, but also his IRL stuff when he's video game hunting or tech hunting or riding bikes across Japan with Connor and Chris. It's a great channel, so definitely check it out. And Pete, if you're watching this, which you're probably not, but Pete, if you're watching this, you're the reason why I bought this game. So hopefully Square Enix sponsored you well for your sponsored stream of this game, even though you would have played it anyways without the sponsorship because you're a big fan of it. So I'm super excited to play that. And like I said, I may, when I'm streaming this, I'm like, you know what, this should have made the list. I'm going to put it on the list. I'm going to put it somewhere, 1A or something like that. So I'm excited to play Dragon Quest 3 remake. But yeah, so that's kind of the thing here. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what some of your favorite games are this year. If you want to give me all 10 of your favorites or 15, 20 of your favorites, go right ahead. Let me know what you think. What do you think of my list? Did I leave anything out? Like I said, not a professional reviewer. I don't get provided codes. So every game I play was either Game Pass or I bought myself, maybe borrowed from a friend. I don't think I borrowed anything from a friend this year. I think everything I bought myself or played off Game Pass. So, I mean, that's just how you got to do it sometimes when you're on the low totem pole of the YouTube world. But, yep. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Definitely appreciate it. We're on the road to 500. We're at 311 as of making this video. So come original. I Know Drugstore Cowgirl. Beautiful Disaster. Fun 311 songs to say there. But thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day, evening, whatever you're doing. Just make the most of it. And thanks for coming around. I'll see you next time. Bye.